I don't think it's really about power dynamics either. Submission should never be used as a tool to control or manipulate within a relationship. And I think this is the hang up that most women have right here. Context matters. Depending on the relationship dynamic and cultural background, concept of submission might be interpreted very differently. I just want to read this one thing I had regarding submission, right? This is what a lady said to me. She said, mainly it's because it's difficult for men to demonstrate that they have any kind of inherent superiority that would make mindless submission toward them a rational idea. What does that mean? How do you think a woman is supposed to interpret that when with along the submission, we hear men say they have superior intellect, they're logical, she's emotional, she doesn't make rational decisions. How does one submit to someone when I think you're equal to me? Other than the physical, you're equal to me. How do you get a whole side of women? Not all of them, because we have pick-me's and people like that who keep saying the same thing that men are saying because they need that particular support, that women are inferior to men. But this is what women say. They want to tell us how to dress, who we can be friends with, where we can work. That's not going to work for most women. They tell you when to have sex, when to comply about sex, when they want sex, when you're supposed to want sex. Do household chores and raise kids because that's your place. Women don't like that. That's how they think men feel about submission. And including her working and her handing over her paycheck into a one-pot deal. And then the allowances are allocated by whatever the man says should be allocated. Some men actually want you to sign over your assets to them. According to women, these are things that women think. Oh, and you have to deal with making stupid decisions. If they make stupid decisions, you just got to shut your mouth and look pretty. These are the things women write and say. You should never question your partner, otherwise you'll deserve a beating. What is that, domestic discipline? This is why women find it hard to submit. We have to shave, do our hair, be natural, present ourselves nicely without ever knowing the effort we have to go. You don't know how long it takes to do those things. We have to be on point every minute of every day. And the only thing you got to do is come home and be nice and go to work and provide. But there's a million other things that are available for us to do during the day. And a woman who feels as though she's equal to a man, which is what most women think, which is what society, Western society thinks, it's very difficult for her to just say, I'm going to be submissive. But see, I have a different idea. Submission is not just something a woman does. That doesn't happen because she gets into a relationship. There has to be two factors available when a woman is submissive. Main ones, there could be others. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying the main two is she has to feel safe and you have to be a trustworthy individual in order for a woman to submit. Look at those two things and you can get submission, or present those two things and you can get submission from a woman. You have to be trustworthy and she has to feel safe. And women feel as though we have to be subservient, tailor our attitudes, tailor our wants, desires, needs. And this is why women have an issue with submission. Right or wrong, this is the way women feel. The kind of submission that they feel as though men have, they don't want that. If you have any of these ideas in your head, the ones that I said, she doesn't like that. Because most men, they feel like don't have the idea of a true leadership or what it looks like. Or so what I says goes, and you better obey me. That's not leadership. That's being an asshole. Abuse at worst. These are things women say. Also, being a leader does not mean you're allowed to disagree with me. But ultimately, if you can't persuade me, we do it my way. That's douchebag behavior. And women feel that way. It also doesn't mean the main job I have is just taking care of kids. I'm a support staff person. I sacrifice all that I do so you can get ahead, and I don't. I'm saying the things that women think when it comes to submission, how people feel when you all speak in terms of submission. So I want to hear from men. What do you mean when you mean submission? What does that look like on a woman? What does that feel like as a woman to hear a man say, I want you to be submissive? I want women to call in and say, what the hell does that sound? That sounds like this. That sounds like garbage. That sounds like you want me to be the slave. And I would like men to call in and say, that's not what we mean. We mean X, Y, and Z. Because I think this is getting lost. That submission thing is getting. A woman needs to feel safe. And you have to be a trustworthy individual in order for submission to be present. It just doesn't happen. People think because you get into a relationship, submission is there. That doesn't happen. That's why you have women bucking up to men. That's why you have women not listening to their men. You have to do, as a man, you have to do something first. You have to show yourself to be a trustworthy man. And you have to make her feel safe. Because the bulk of us wouldn't do half of the things we do in relationships if those two factors were there. You spending time all out with your friends, you cussing me out, you disappearing on me, you not being where you're supposed to be, you're not doing what you said you're going to do. All of these things play into a woman's submission. The kind of submission you're talking about, I don't like that kind of submission. That's what these ladies are saying. The kind of submission you're talking about. And it doesn't have to be a biblical thing. It just has to be a shared agreement between two people. People say, well, it's in the Bible. You have to be submissive. That's not how that works. Well, I want a woman to be submissive. Call in and tell me, what do you mean by submissive? What do you mean? And I'll tell you if it's going to work or not. You tell me you have submission in your relationship, and you tell me about that, and you say you have it, and you tell me what the idea of submission is, and I'll tell you why it's not going to work. Two things need to be present in a submissive relationship: trust and a trustworthy individual. Safety. Those are the two major components of it. And we have women out here saying, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that, because these men don't know what the hell they doing. And they say, ain't no reason for me to be submissive. Just because you have a different plumbing than I do, Your body works differently than mine doesn't mean I need to be submissive. That doesn't make you smarter. It just means you're a different sentient human being. I'm not saying this. I'm saying women are saying this. This is why they don't want to submit. Because you haven't proven that you're trustworthy enough to be submitted to. Because you have a different idea of what submission means. I don't want to be stuck in the kitchen scrubbing floors and then you get to run the streets with your boys, or you get to cheat and do what you want to do because you provide money and you provide shelter and this, that, and the third. And that's where we're having the problem. It can be done. People can submit in relationships in which they feel respected, you are trustworthy, and they feel safe.